In today's video, I'm going to go from this to this. Here's how I turned a cluttered basement storage room into a dedicated Zwift space. If that interests you, stay tuned. We'll get started. My plan for this room, or for this space, I want to get everything out of here. All the junk, the bikes, everything else, the shelves, and then I want to set it up for a dedicated Zwifting space. I'm going to push you guys back, set you up in the corner, and we're going to time-lapse clean this room. Let's get started. 2 days, 20 seconds. This room doesn't have any electricity. The room next to it is on its own circuit and it's got a total of 5 outlets. So I think I've got capacity in that circuit for this room. I added an outlet to the existing system and I extended some conduit to 2 more outlets over here. Now that I have some electricity, something to plug my computer and my TV into, I'm going to put pegboard on this wall. So I'm going to cut pegboard and I'm going to cover this whole wall with it. I bought 3 sheets and they're 4x8, so I will have to cut them down, and I need to cut them down so that the joints fall on studs. I did buy some extra 2x4s in case I have to sister these to create nailing spaces. I got the first piece cut and I'm going to offset it from the corner so that I can center it on these 2 studs and I won't have to cut a finished edge. So to hold this in place, I'm using a lath screw with a fender washer. And I'm going to put it through the existing holes. And what that will do is the fender washer will distribute the force and help these screw heads from pulling through if I get a lot of weight on this. That's all right. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. The next thing I want to do before I do anything else, I want to get the lights up. These are LED panels. They're designed to go like in kitchens or offices and hang down. But I think with a little creativity I can make these look like windows. These are dimmable too, so I can take them down to like 10% brightness, which I think would be pretty cool. So I think that looks all right. I think that's pretty cool. I've got one for the other wall as well, so I'm going to have the 2 opposite each other. That wall is going to be a little more difficult because it's a concrete wall, and so I have to build some sort of a frame that fits between the light and the concrete just to give space for the wiring. And I can take that wooden frame, I can put it up, secure it to the concrete with Tapcons, and then I can bolt the mount to that wood. It's a bit cold this morning. There's a layer of frost on all the wood I left outside last night. I'm going to use 2x4s. So the way I'll build it, I'm going to cut a 45 on each corner and glue it together and then use screws to hold everything in place. So I've got this cut out. This is kind of how that frame's going to go together. I'm going to take it inside. I'm just going to hold it together with some poly glue and screws. It is my experience when I work with 2x3s and 2x4s that if you're screwing into them in this direction, they're fine. But if you're doing it on the edge, especially close to the edge, they like to split. So to keep that from happening, I almost always pre-drill them with a countersink bit. That creates an opening for the screw to go into and it reduces the chance that it will split when the head pulls up. All right, so I have the second panel now wired in and mounted. I'm gonna turn it on for you. Here's a better look at the light output. What you see in the camera is much closer to what I see in real life. It really lights up this room nicely. You know, there's no creepy shadows anymore. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this is coming out. I hadn't planned on it originally, but I think I want to do something with the ceiling. Seeing it in here with the walls covered, it looks pretty nice. I've got extra wallboard, so what I think I'm going to do is kind of match what I did on the walls. What I'm putting on the ceiling, it's wallboard. Sometimes it's called masonite. It's effectively the same material that the pegboard is made out of, just without the holes. Now that I have that done, I want to focus my energy on the trim. I want to make it look like this beam is being supported by columns. So for that, I'm just going to use some pine 1x. I'm going to screw them together at an angle. So that fits around that box all right. Now I've still got full access to it and the wiring that's behind it. I'm going to hold this in place with just some screws into that stud. I think I'm to the point now where I can put the trim on. So I'm going to start on the door, I'm going to trim around it, and then that'll be the last bit of wall trim, and I can work on the baseboard. This is what I'm using for baseboard. I'm going to attach it to this concrete wall with some Tapcons. So I'll drill the concrete and then I'll screw the Tapcons in, and that'll pull this up flush against the wall. And then any gaps I'll fill with caulking. So I finished the trim work. I ended up using 5-inch baseboard with 1-inch shoe molding. I did that just to match the rest of the house. I added brick molding to separate the panels from the beam, and then I used some 1x2s to create separation between the walls and the ceiling and to fill that gap and finish it off. And I'm to the point now where I can paint. So we're going to do that next. So I've got the room pretty much done. All the trim work is up, everything's painted, it looks really good. So now I want to bring in the stuff and actually turn this into a Zwift room. I'm just going to use Amazon special curtains on a tension rod. So these have already made a difference in the way it sounds in here. To help reduce sound and also to keep the floor clean, I'm going to put the bike on a treadmill mat. I got this one from my local hardware store. It's about 1/4 inch thick and it is super durable rubber. I don't know how long this is. I hope it's long enough. Oh yeah, that looks all right. So for a display, I'm using a 43-inch plasma and it's on a rolling stand. What I like about this is it's height adjustable and easy to change the angle of the television. So I think that'll work out well, and it gives me a place on this platform to put some speakers. I am using an old HP, I think this is an 8300 PC to run Zwift on. This one's got an i5-3570, which isn't a fast processor by today's standards. I've got a GeForce, I think it's a GeForce 1050 in here. So I chose that one because it doesn't use a lot of power. It'll work with the power supply that's in this machine. I found this little table, but what attracted me to it is it's height adjustable, like an office chair. So I'm hoping that I can leave this in front of the bike and use this as a place to keep the keyboard and mouse. But given the shape of it, I'm hoping I can put the front wheel here and set it right up against the handlebars. This is my trainer. I've actually had it for a long time. I got it for Christmas, I think, in 2017. Cyclops, who is now, I think, Ceres, doesn't offer this model. It was expensive. I think it was like more than $600 when I got it. This is the part of this whole setup that is really going to kick you in the nuts when you're putting it together. So the cost of these smart trainers it's high. But I would recommend that if you are setting up Zwift and you're getting this far into it, that you spend the money on a good smart trainer. So I'm going to set it here first, and we'll bring in my bike and we'll see how it fits. This is my old Trek. I'm going to use it for a while. It's a quick release bike, and this trainer is set up for quick release wheels. So it'll be a good fit, I think, in here. Plus the color really looks nice in the room. I usually use a trainer specific rear tire with my bike when I ride it on the trainer. I've got a couple. I've had good luck with both. I think this one's a Continental and this one's a Vittoria maybe. But I'm not going to fit these today. I've just got my road tires on here. I don't know if this is the bike that's ultimately going to be on this trainer, so I don't want to take the time right now to fit a tire. If your bike has through axles, make sure that you use the appropriate adapter when you hook it to these trainers. If you try to use the ones designed for quick release, it will chew up your rear dropouts like pretty badly. So if you do have a through axle bike, make sure you're using adapters in your trainer that let you use a bike with through axles. Make sure you have the right adapters. So when I put it on this trainer, it raises the back end up, and so then the bike is sitting kind of like this, and it feels really out of place if you try to ride it like this. So I've actually got a front wheel spacer that I bought when I bought the trainer. So this spacer, it just lifts up the front wheel to level the bike out. This particular one has 3 height adjustable settings. So the reason I chose this table that I did is that I hope, or I think it'll fit really nicely around this mount. And actually it looks like it will. So let's power the trainer on, see if I can get it to talk to the computer, and I'll show you what you need for trainer and PC so they communicate. Where's the, right there. This trainer uses ANT Plus, ANT Plus to communicate with the PC. So I have a special ANT Plus dongle that fits in the front of the PC so that they can work together. If I didn't have that, I'd have to have some sort of a go-between between my Zwift device and the trainer. So I've got the ANT dongle plugged into the front, and this is all it is. It's this tiny little thing. I got it from Zwift. I think it was under $20, and it works really well. I haven't had any trouble with signal. And then this one here is a Bluetooth module to allow me to connect items to Bluetooth to this machine. So I'm running both an ANT Plus and a Bluetooth dongle. Alright, let's see if it'll detect this. Alright, so it did detect my trainer. Let's see, I don't know which one of these I want, probably that one. So this way, the way it is right now is it will use the trainer to control resistance, but it'll also use it to calculate power. So it will use the trainer to estimate my watts. The trainer can also be used for cadence. And I don't remember which one of these it is. But effectively, I've got this smart trainer now doing power, cadence, and controlled for resistance. Where are we at? Innsbruck. I'm going to ride in Watopia. I'm not really going to ride. I'm in coveralls, for Christ's sake. But I want to make sure that this works, that this is talking to it. Alright. I'm going to move you so you can see my first few minutes on Zwift. in coveralls. I will also need to bring my fans in. It'll be way too warm in here without them. Alright, so let's see. See if this works. Yeah, I think we're good. When you're putting your room together, fans are critically important. You might not think that at first, but you get miserably hot really quickly without them. So I'm using two fans. I've got one set to blow on my face and my chest, and the other is set to blow on my legs. I read an article once that suggested that at 20 miles an hour, you have about 8,000 CFM of air blowing on you. So when you're sizing fans, kind of keep that in mind. These are nowhere near that. Something also to keep in mind with fans is they generate a lot of interference. So you have to be careful about their placement. I wouldn't normally put one so close to the computer, simply because I don't want it to interrupt the signal between the computer and the trainer. We're going to try this out simply because I don't have enough outlets. If that doesn't work, I'll run an extension cord along the ground here and we'll put it in the back corner. Get it away from that PC, but fans are important. I recommend at least two. So now that I've got everything set up, I want to try it out. I'm going to do a half an hour tonight and see that everything works. While I was getting together, it occurred to me there were a couple of other things I should mention. So for cadence, I have a cadence sensor on my shoe, and that talks to the computer through Bluetooth. I do the same thing with my heart rate monitor. So I wear a heart rate monitor and a cadence sensor. Alright guys, I just did half an hour on Zwift. I've forgotten how hard that was. Because you don't get a coast, you don't get a break, so it's just go, go, go. But I don't know how much this room cost me. I know it was more than $1,000, just because of the technology. Anytime you do anything with a smart trainer, you break that $1,000 mark. Smart trainer and tech. But the room itself I don't think was too much money. I did spend a lot on trim. Trim boards are expensive and the lights were like $85 a piece. So I'm not sure what I spent in total. I am sure it was more than $1,000. I will put that number together and I'll put it on the screen so you guys can see what it is. I'll give you a summary, kind of what was involved. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Ooh, holy crap! That was a clipped in. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's nice, you know, it's small, but it doesn't feel boxed in, even with the ductwork right here. Getting that same color, it really just disappears in my mind. The TV is the right size, I've got good airflow. The side lights, you know, putting the light panels on the wall, it really helps. I don't get the glare in the TV, and to me it doesn't feel like I'm right up against the ceiling like I am. So the light panels were totally worth it. The room feels nice. And despite all the hard surfaces in here, it's not that loud. So I really enjoyed making this, and I really enjoyed tonight's ride. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you got something out of it. Watching me put this room together maybe gave you some ideas, or if you had questions about what works together with Zwift, hopefully this answered some of that. So I really appreciate you taking the time for watching. Thank you.